Hello. I see you there, Beth. But, well, I see your icon.
Hey, Jeff.
You there, Beth?
I am.
Awesome. Are you?
Long time no chat. How have you been?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty busy. How about you?
I'm okay. Transitioning, trying to figure stuff out.
Transitioning what?
Trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Oh no.
Yeah. Are we recording or?
It is automatically recording, so don't say anything you don't want recorded.
Are you leading the call today?
Cecilia, I guess, is on a flight somewhere, so she set this up. And I think Annika, she must have coordinated some with you. Are you wanting to take the ball on this, or you don't know either? So we're the blind leading the blind today, I guess. I know Annika's is got the biggest chunk of the content on the agenda, so if you want to, Annika, feel free to lead.
Happy to, sure. Are we waiting on a few more people? Or
Yeah, I think typically let's give it a couple more minutes.
All right. Let's do. Have we done the guilty pleasures yet?
The what?
All right, we haven't. Everybody start by admitting one guilty pleasure that you spend too much money on.
Beer.
Did you say beer?
Craft beer, yes. Nice. I love craft beer. That is my guilty pleasure.
My guilty pleasure is, we should probably popcorn. Sorry, I just turned it.
Go, Annika.
Thank you. Is my cleaning service. We just moved into this really beautiful house, and they recommended a cleaning service that I can clean. I'm perfectly capable of cleaning my own house. And it's this one piece of luxury where they roll in 4 people deep, wipe every surface, take everything out of the shelves. They fold my clothes. It's unbelievable. And it has made life so much better. But I am perfectly capable of cleaning my own house. I would just never do 10% as good a job as they do. So there is my guilty pleasure. Eric.
Let's see. I don't spend a ton on it, but binge watching movies, or binge watching series. Sometimes it's like so it's just the nature of the thing. And I will hand off to Beth.
Well, I have so many. I would guess they're tied between bling and clothes. Very shallow stuff, but Is there anyone else on? I can't see.
Megan just joined us. Megan, can you hear us?
Yes.
Wonderful. We are kicking off today with a guilty pleasure that you spend too much money on.
Oh man, a guilty pleasure that I spend too much money on?
Yep.
I feel like my guilty pleasures don't really require money. There's a
share.
There's a really Survivor is the television series is a guilty pleasure of mine. It's like so awkward in a lot of ways, particularly like when you look at race class issues and how they've handled that in the series. But like, I don't know, there's something about watching Survivor that I definitely feel guilty about, but I definitely get pleasure from. So that's it.
Well, thank goodness it doesn't cost any money. Otherwise, you'd be spending it. So there you go.
I don't feel guilty. I spend money on like I don't know, healing and self-care stuff, and I don't feel guilty about that. But that's where I'd say I spend
You
my money.
shouldn't. Very cool. Okay. Thank you for sharing. So we are 5 minutes in. Jeff, I'd say we just go ahead.
I say go for it. Yep.
All right, cool. I'm happy to take a few notes today and just do that. Why don't we start with some general updates? So anything that you guys want to share in terms of events, in terms of recent developments, any cool stuff you've come across? What should this community know about what's happening in your ecosystem, what you're working on, anything along those lines?
I just want to say thanks to Jeff Bennett with the Ecosystem Hub, who picked up some of our Kansas City Ecosystem Builder Council profiles. So thanks, that was fun to see that you were right on top of that. So that was great to get to see that shared in that way. So that's still rolling. We've got 3 more council profiles to share, but that was an exciting sort of first big step for our ESHIP communities program storytelling. So
Are you going to do more of those with the other communities, or was this just a pilot?
each community is going to have its own flavor and focus. And so we're having a storytelling meeting tomorrow to determine what that's going to look like for each of the communities. So I think there'll be a different focus, but that's what sort of resonated with what made sense in Kansas City.
Okay. And what is, as far as you know, what is the goal for those profiles? Is that something that we can help promote by sharing or passing along? What do you want us to do with that, if anything?
Yeah, it would be great if you could go to our social media at Forward Cities and like our page, and then you could share the interview links, and particularly if you know folks in the Kansas City community and in Missouri and in Kansas, if you want to tag those folks that you think might be interested. So basically, yeah, liking and sharing is really helpful on our different outlets.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Megan. Welcome, Tyler.
Hello, hello.
Hi. We are doing current updates, any events, any new developments in the world of storytelling for ecosystem building that we should all be aware of, that we need help with, that we want others to share. So just filling you in case there's something happening in your world that you want to share.
I appreciate it. I will go ahead and say anybody who wants to go to ecosystembuilderhub.com and find an article and share it, knock yourself out. Always appreciate it. Don't forget the 5 stars for all the cool stuff Jeff Bennett has done. And speaking of Jeff Bennett,
This is getting embarrassing.
Interviewed the guy.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, speaking of Jeff Bennett, I finally got to interview the guy.
Oh.
And, hopefully I will have my own needing some sharing here soon.
All right.
So,
in the realm of mutual backpatting, I would like to shout out Annika for her story on Rick. I thought that was a great story and a great ecosystem builder. He was also doing a great job storytelling.
Yep. It's all over social media too. I just saw it like 3 different times.
Good stuff. Hi, Katie. Welcome.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Thank you for joining us this week. We're currently doing updates. Any sort of general updates? Any events we have coming up? Anything that is relevant to storytelling that would be a good time to share?
Let me put my. There's so much going on. I don't know how much I'm attending so many of these meetings. I forget who I've told what to. But our program continues to grow here, our Lawrence-Wake County program, that includes multiple partners across 7 towns. We now have 305 graduates over 3 years. and probably going to bring in another 140 to 180 in the next year. And we are beginning to rival the size of some of the local chambers of commerce. But it's grown so fast because of the partnerships.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great. Katie, can I ask you to mute yourself when you're done? And just anybody who's not speaking, if you want to mute yourself while you're not talking. I think the shortcut is Alt and A, if you just want to use that. That is easy peasy.
Except
Any
if you're
other-
doing it on a phone, which I have
Oh,
not done
I
before
see.
because I'm at a place where I can't get on the network.
I see. All
You
right,
should
let's.
still have a mute button on your phone call app.
Jeff,
Don't see that.
Jeff, are you able to mute her remotely?
No, I was just looking. I think Cecilia. I'm not the.
It has to be the
no,
host.
not the administrator or the host or whatever.
Okay.
Well, let's see if I look at participants, if I can do it there.
Yeah, my only option is to stay on or leave. Wait a minute, let me
Oh,
try it again. Wait a
Don't
minute, I
want
just
to
found.
leave. There we go. Good job. It worked.
All right. Does anyone else have any updates? Remember, you're probably muted if you want to chime in. 3, 2, 1. All right, excellent. In terms of project team updates, I think that is mostly we have 2 big topics we want to cover today. It is an update on the Unsung Heroes of Ecosystem Builders campaign that I am spearheading. And the second one, I think I'm going to hand over to Jeff in terms of talking about success stories around DEI initiatives.
Well, so I don't have any updates on that, and I don't know where so I've had that idea. I had that idea come from. It was inspired by something I saw on social media from a totally different vertical. So I don't know if I put that in there or somebody else did that same idea and put that in there, but it just sounded like it'd be a really cool thing to do. It actually came from, as I said on my Guilty Pleasures intro, I'm a big craft beer fan and I follow that a lot. And the Craft Beer Alliance is kind of a national organizer of the 8,000 plus breweries in the United States. And they have hired a diversity, equity, inclusion ambassador. And she, I think, started kind of a success story of inclusion and diversity. And so the idea is that they have various breweries across the country, which, if you don't know, breweries across the country are primarily white males as far as who the brewers are and who the constituents are. And so they're trying to broaden, to expand that to be more inclusive. And so they're trying to tell stories of breweries that are doing that. And so that kind of pinged a light bulb in my head. Well, maybe that would be a cool thing to do in the ESHIP community as well. But that's as far as I've gotten with that.
On that note, Jeff, we were going to focus the first or the second month of the campaign on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So
Yeah.
that is a fantastic fit. I reached out to Forward Cities earlier today. I CC'd you on the email as an update for everybody. Forward Cities is working. I don't know if you can talk more about that, Megan, or not, but last I heard, are working on a podcast with the very specific lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which whenever that comes out, I think is a very natural fit and just one beautiful piece of storytelling that we can help pull into this conversation and then spearhead in and out. So I'm trying to find out where that is and what's happening. And Jeff, I don't know if that inspiration was generally just the approach of thinking about it, or if you have specific visuals, a cadence, and a lens of storytelling in mind that I'd love to.
I do not yet. It's literally, it's just one of 100 ideas that pop into my head, a given day or week. And I just put it down there and I thought that might be a cool thing to do.
Great.
But I really haven't. So I do have an idea to write an article about it at some point when I have time to kind of really initially kind of get ideas and from the community as far as what could this be, and so maybe that's a future topic for this cause. What could a campaign like that look like?
Fantastic. I hope it's somewhat similar to the Unsung Heroes.
Yeah,
Would it
I
fit in
don't
there?
really know, and I don't think there's a lot of examples yet of what they've done. They shared a
Yeah.
couple of stories of what some brewery had done, and I can't remember what it was even. So it would be, I think, an example of what's programs, say, or initiatives that a community has taken to improve equity in the community. But I really think it needs to be kind of a crowdsourced idea to generate what that campaign might look like and how it might get rolled out.
Okay, fantastic.
I'll add that the SCN Startup Champions Network storytelling and focus in February and March are going to be along the same themes as well. So it could be another platform, obviously source for potential members of Focus, as well as source for publication and sharing too. We can start tying all of these together in their efforts, just like we already are, but just want to add that.
That reminds me of a project update. Congratulations, Tyler is the new co-chair for the SCN Communications Committee. And Jeff is no longer the co-chair of the Communications Committee.
And congratulations to Jeff for no longer being
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Tyler, can you tell us anything more in terms of what stories, how many stories, what format, what we can expect on the SCN side?
Yeah, I know that we're going to be doing at least 3 member feature pieces. Ashley Ray is working, obviously, on that specifically, and I'll be backing her up probably on one of them to tackle. In terms of, it'll be produced through our blog, obviously, that we have through the site, and then but that's about as much information as I have at this time. But as soon as I can, I'll either facilitate getting you together with Ashley, or I'll try and get a report back. There was a couple meetings that had to happen this week before the plan was the plan, if that makes sense. So
all right, great. Well, I do want to keep that in mind. Whoa, what is happening?
sorry, I hit video instead of mute.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Hi.
Hi.
Let's definitely double down on that. If it can somehow fit into the campaign, I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And even if it just means, okay, so I'll bring everybody up to speed, especially Avery. Say hi, Avery. Thank you for joining us. To bring everybody on the same page with the campaign that we've been talking about. It is called the Unsung Heroes of Ecosystem Building. Plain and simple, we want to highlight and celebrate those people in the ESHIP community and beyond that do a lot of ecosystem building without getting a lot of the spotlight for doing the work. So we have been sourcing nominations from the ESHIP and SCN community for people who they think need to be on the stage and get a little bit of applause on the internet. The process so far has been getting nominations. For example, we would ask Tyler to nominate someone, and Tyler would nominate a person that he knows is doing great work and explain why this person deserves to be recognized. So we're gathering a little bit of information, and we are still sourcing nominations until January 31st. So we have nine more days to get nominations in. And then in a second step, we will be sending out, we're trying to figure out what the best way is to gather this information, but sort of an interview guide, short and sweet, with a number of key questions that we then source from those nominees, along with some pictures, social media handles, so that we can then feature them. The content as right now will live on EB Hub and then go through those social media channels. And we would love your help in helping us promote that once we actually have content going out. That is the overall idea of the campaign. We are treating it as an MVP for this year in hopes of making it really big next year. Our key goals for this campaign are twofold. Number one, really engage the ESHIP community and let everybody know what's happening in the different goals and meetups and and everybody who's involved with ESHIP, but because we're also going beyond ESHIP members or participants, however you want to call it, we're hoping for some spillover. So in general, just a crowdsourced effort to talk more about ecosystem building on social media and on the internet, and push more content out there that hopefully mainstream media can pick up as well. So it's internally as well as externally.
Tell me where that will live again. I didn't catch that.
On Ecosystem Builder Hub, Jeff's platform.
Does everybody have access to that?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
the
just a
website.
website. It's ecosystembuilderhub.com. So you can go there, and it's basically just a hub of stories about ecosystem building. Thanks for sharing that, Avery. Avery just shared the link in the chat, which you're on the phone, so you won't be able to take advantage of that.
We will make sure that that's in the notes that we will be.
I will, yeah, I'll link this in the notes right now.
Great. And while we're talking about it, I will also share the Google form for nominations. I think if we all reach out to our network, so Jess did a post on LinkedIn that got a whole lot of traction. I will be sharing it a week before nominations close, so either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, just hoping to get more people to submit. Really, we're looking for underdogs. We're not looking necessarily for Victor Wang or some of the big people, but more the ones who are so busy doing the work that they often don't show up on our radar, but they deserve some love. And I know that every single one of you knows at least 2 people who are in this description. So that'd be a fantastic way to just show them some love and support in their work. What else? A change for those of you who have been part of this conversation. My original plan was to dedicate 1 month for one goal, but it's just not working out that way. So we're just going to throw it out there. We are still trying to link everyone who's interviewed to a specific goal, if it makes sense, just so we have a bit of a sense of where champions fall in case we ever want to do any storytelling around a specific goal. We know exactly which champions to talk to. That does not mean, however, that we can only nominate people from the ESHIP community. It goes way beyond that. So just putting that out there. And because I've talked so much, I want to know what kind of questions you guys may have about this campaign as it moves forward. Anyone? This light is brutal. Let me, there we go. No questions. All right. Avery, you joined us a few minutes later, and we had a short section for general updates. Any sort of public service announcements, any events that are happening, anything from the world of Avery and conveners that we should know about? Now would be a great time.
Well, my big one is a sneak preview because the public announcement's going out either Friday or Monday, but I am leaving conveners.org. Jeff and Tyler know this, but yeah, board official improvement last Friday, so that is happening. I do not know what's coming next for me, but we will be hiring for a chief relationship officer for conveners.org. Job description will go out by the end of the week. And so I'm still going to be on board through June of this year. So, you know, as any proper co-founder, it's not like I'm just going to, you know, give 2 weeks notice and peace out. But
take the money and run.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit. I'm not sure there's any money. But yeah, I talked with Cecilia and Christine, and so Sarah Sterling from the team at conveners.org is going to be transitioning into the ESHIP calls to represent our organization. I am still going to be in some way some sort of ESHIP champion something as just an individual human, but that's still not 100% clear what that's going to look like. But I'm hoping to just continue to support the various efforts, particularly as on goal 4 with connected networks, and then on not another goal 8, storytelling.
Great. Is there anything you need? Are we keeping an ear out for you to see where you might find a new fit? How can we help?
I don't know yet. I need some reflection time and some space to like figure out what I want in the world first, and then I can put out a more clear like, yo, who knows X, Y, or Z. And so I will definitely share that news when it's time. In the meantime, I would say from the organizational side, one of the really big lifts that Communities.org has been working on is a collective impact project around evaluating the impact of convening. And so we've published 4 blogs already. I think there's another 3 to 4 to come around kind of outcomes from a day-long meeting we did with a number of top conveners around that evaluation question. And we'll actually be producing a purpose-first convening evaluation framework for conveners to use that gets beyond just, was it a good event, to what is your desired impact and has that event actually created that impact in the world. And so we're really excited about that, and you know, happy to share more as that continues to be developed.
Big news indeed. I'm glad I asked. Wow. Okay. Jeff, what else do we have on the docket? I feel like I have
Well,
one or two calls to action, but other than that.
Well, so the main thing was the ESHIP, the Unsung Heroes thing, which I don't know if you want to go into more detail about that or not. We already talked about the idea about the inclusion of diversity success stories. It occurred to me, I was wondering if Beth, if there's been any movement on the 6.2 universal supports kind of PR campaign front. I know I haven't been on any calls recently with that. Have there been any? Which, for those who don't know, there was kind of a side project for a while with Storytelling and Goal Initiative 6.2 about PR campaigns.
Global awareness.
Yeah, cities who have put out PR campaigns to help raise awareness about ecosystem building. So I don't know where that's at, Beth. Beth, you're on mute.
Beth, I wish you could ping people, like poke.
Okay, so maybe Beth had to step away. Oh, looks like she's now gone, so maybe she had a technical difficulty.
All right.
That was the only other thing that occurred to me. So the only other thing is, if you want to go into more depth about the Unsung EV campaign.
Okay, so this whole idea has been broken down a little bit more, just because it was a big pie in the sky idea when it came about. And now we had to break it down to turn it into something really, really manageable, which is why a lot of the content generation is pretty automated. What that means for everyone on this call is, number one, we would love your nominations. If you know someone or you have any channels that you can use to put it out into the world, that would be great. And our second call to action is, we will need support once we have the first interviews pouring in. There might be some need for editorial support as well as social media, in making sure we can then again put it out into the world, be it through newsletters, social media, bringing it up with people in your community. I don't know yet what that looks like, but once I do and we have our first sort of interview pieces, then we would absolutely love your help in just getting the word out. Those are the main concerns right now. With that being said, we're still accepting nominations, so I don't think we're going to have anything concrete until mid-February.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, hi Beth.
I hung up and called back in. I was
Okay.
muting and unmuting and it wasn't happening, so sorry about that.
No worries. You're with us now, so feel free to share.
Sure. So I think it was fourth quarter when things came to kind of a halt, and besides some personal stuff going down, Hassan and I worked on putting in a letter of interest into the Kaufman opportunity around America's New Business Plan and pitching the 6.2 canvas around the global awareness campaign and the idea of finding a few communities to pilot it with over 18 months and to go in with intentional metrics. And the notification came out on the 15th of January as to whether or not we were being asked to provide a full application, and we were declined. So not back to the drawing board, of course, but still bent on making that happen, still looking for communities that want to align the resources to get the pilot rolling. And Hassan and I were working on, Hassan had 4 or 5 communities right around Detroit that he thought would have interest, but now he's transitioning into Forward City, so that's slowed down as well. So need to pull another call together just to provide those updates. Hopefully you guys can still engage in that. And I just spoke with Enoch and understand Victor is doing something very similar around America's New Business Plan, so I need to reach out to him as well and see if we can collaborate. I just learned that today. Do any of you know anything about all that?
Not me.
No, I mean, you and I had corresponded a little bit about your proposal, but that's it. I was not aware that you'd been.
I don't. I lost track of you fourth quarter as well, Beth, but that all sounds like some amazing stuff you're working on. Way to keep up the effort.
Thank you. It was the letter of interest. I don't know if this is the typical way the Kaufman grant process works, but I didn't feel like it gave us enough space to really say what we were talking about. Like I wasn't able to say it wasn't just the Innovation Collaborative. We were using the 501c3 from the Innovation Collaborative, but there were other people engaged and other people that we would get engaged if we were awarded the grant. So anyway, that is what it is. But I'm excited about what Victor's doing and seeing how that might correlate as well. So nobody's talked to Victor and has a better understanding of what's going on there?
No, so I would ask if anybody does know. I know, so anybody doesn't know, Victor resigned from
already.
He's resigned from the Kaufman Foundation, but he's starting his own thing, and all I've heard that it has got something to do with policy and ecosystem building, but that's as much as I know.
Yeah, and Enoch shared that it was something around a global awareness campaign.
Oh, okay.
Really?
So either he doesn't have all the information or misunderstood, or if that could be a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I'll find out and report back for sure. I see that in goals 6.2 and 6.5 with I see storytelling being a really big part of that work. So the more we can be on each other's calls and engaged in both groups, the better. And even the templates for storytelling around support for global awareness and universal support are important.
Beth, would you have any interest in pulling that topic over into the storytelling call just in order to have it all live in one place and make it sort of one project team as part of the storytelling initiative 6.2?
Yeah, we've gone back and forth on that before, and I think we came to the conclusion that there's no harm, no foul in keeping it in both.
Okay.
But I'm open. I totally am open, and I'm not the only person in that group. So
Right.
maybe that we could put that on the agenda if you guys are able to join us. Was it the second Monday of February?
Why don't you bounce out an invite and then we can check our calendars. I don't know if you want everybody on there or I'll leave that up to you.
Is that the goal 6 call?
Okay. Yeah.
And it's when again?
The second Monday in February.
Okay, so
Or the
that
second
would
Monday.
be the 10th.
And I can ping out the invite. Can someone just send me the list of who's on this call or who's in the group? I can't see.
I can send you who's in the call today. Yeah.
Okay. And anyone not interested, just let us know now so he doesn't include you.
Yeah, I realistically don't have bandwidth right now.
And that's probably the case with me right now as well for February and March. But after that, I would like to be. But still keep me in the loop.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Jeff, I do want to come back quickly to the DEI success stories. Is there anything concrete that you want us to be thinking about working towards sourcing, or are we parking this for now?
I think let's park that for now, unless somebody else has the bandwidth to take the idea and run with it. I know I don't right now. So I think maybe let's park that for another call in, say, March, perhaps. And maybe see what we can do with it from there.
Okay.
Annika, if you want to send me a write-up on that, I'll bring it up in my conversation with Ashley and see if we're already doing some of the legwork on the SCN side. So
Okay.
just like to see if we can tie it together, or support you guys. We're doing the same work. I see no reason to not double and triple dip across all these things.
Absolutely.
So to get the job done.
Are you planning to publish on SCN's blog, Medium, or somewhere else?
I'll get an answer to that from Ashley, since she's the one that pushes the button. But I know that we'll be double posting it to EB Hub for sure, just to support wherever it's initially posted. So, but
Perfect.
Yeah.
Typically, SCN has been posting on their blog primarily rather than Medium for the last, I don't know, half a year or so. And then reposting on Medium afterwards. But I think that's hit and miss. And it's hit and miss because I was in charge of it and I was missing it mostly.
It's okay.
Jeff, if it gets
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is there any data on engagement on EB Hub and ways that we can help if we need more traffic?
Yeah, so I have Google Analytics on there, and I haven't looked at it recently. It's trending upwards except for December. December's always a down month for web traffic unless you're like an online retailer. So I think this month we'll see a hit. We're getting a nice hit today from the article I posted yesterday about communities who are doing a good job telling the stories of their entrepreneurs. So basically what you can do to help drive traffic is just, well, subscribe to the newsletter. So there's a newsletter that basically just spits out automatically the articles that were published there it spits that out every Sunday, depending where you are, morning or afternoon. So subscribe to that and click on it, go to it, share it on social media. That's really the key right now.
And we have social media platforms as well on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Yes, there's Twitter, LinkedIn, and there is an Instagram that I never do because I just not that Instagram active.
Hi, Eric.
So what's the handle on Twitter and LinkedIn?
The Twitter handle is Build Ecosystems, @Build Ecosystems. Twitter's got a length restriction, so I couldn't do Ecosystem Builder Hub. So that's what that is. And Tyler, you set it up on LinkedIn. Do you know what that is?
We have a company page set up on LinkedIn, which will be filled out this quarter. But if you wanted to set yourself up to follow it, you could. So that way you would see it in your stream on LinkedIn as we begin to start pushing stuff out.
And that company page is Ecosystem Builder?
Ecosystem Building, what is it? EcosystemBuilderHub.com.
Okay, EcosystemBuilderHub.com.
Yeah, Ecosystem Builder was taken, so I did Hub. And Eric has a question about where to share these stories. And I think Slack is a great place. So I monitor the Slack, all the ESHIP Slack channels. And so there's a storytelling specific channel, Avery does a good job at putting stuff there in our EB Hub Slack domain, but put it in the ESHIP Slack domain. If you come across a story, that you think is relevant as far as it tells a story about ecosystem building or ecosystem builders, share it, and that's a great way to contribute.
And to clarify, EB Hub, while Jeff and hopefully myself here soon are going to be producing original content as EB Hub, the other core purpose of it is to share external content. So anytime anyone has an article that they're just trying to find one more place to put it, one more place to hopefully get it seen, you could just email it straight to any of us or to stories at, is that right? Stories at
stories at ecosystembuilderhub.com is the email, yes. So yeah, that's a great point. Is it's part original content, part just redistributing, aggregating, and resharing stuff that others have produced. So like, for instance, yesterday I just did a little republishing of Annika's story about Rick. So, you know, all that is I write a sentence or two and say, read more on socialventures.com. And so it's that kind of thing.
And create a link.
And create a link, yeah.
That's the value there, giving a backlink to anywhere you're posting your stories. So
Yeah.
if you're posting it on your company blog or organization blog and that doesn't have a lot of visitors, it's a way to get a lot of visitors to your original site. So that's one of the other purposes of it. Just to clarify, because I don't think we do a good part of telling that part of the story is
Good
it's
point,
a tool. Yeah. It's a tool for everyone. We're just doing the work right now.
Yeah, good point.
Excellent.
We had an ESHIP goals person join. Is that Cecilia or is that you, Lauren?
No, it's me. It's Cecilia.
Hi, Cecilia.
Hi. I'm just walking through an airport, so don't pay any attention to me. I just carry on. You guys are all doing great. I owe a couple of you phone calls, so my apologies. But nope, don't let me disrupt. You're doing fabulously, and I appreciate you all.
I hope you're finally feeling better.
Thank you.
Annika, anything else?
I'm trying to think. No. I wish I had more concrete things. Right now, it's a full-on drive to nominate awesome people who do ecosystem building. And once I see what we have, we are up to 40 nominations, which is phenomenal. And we're trying to source more with every interview. And once I know what we're working with, I think I'll have more direct marching orders. If anyone feels particularly compelled to support social media, I think right now that's going to be the biggest need. I think we will pick 1 or 2 channels and that's it. But trying to get that out and partnering up with other organizations that also do storytelling will be wonderful. Yeah. And I also want to just highlight that we're absolutely experimenting with the format. So we could do one thing one month and then switch up the format for the next month just to see what's working. That's the beauty of this being a pilot, is we really want to figure out what works best, what's most interesting, and what garners the most interest. So any ideas, any feedback you have, even if you see a really cool campaign that you think would be a great template for what we're trying to do, I'm all ears. The more brains, the better.
I did have one idea about nominations, because you're asking for 2 and we're trying to find some overlay into the goals and the initiatives as well, specific to ESHIP and Kaufman. Perhaps we can ask in the ESHIP community, nominate one person that you know that's in a goal now, inactive, you know, somewhere in one of the open initiatives, and then someone outside of ESHIP. Someone that's in your community locally, if it's geographic or demographic or whatever, because you'll get a double benefit there later on. If you try to do a project specific story, you'll have 2 or 3 people from that initiative that you can focus in one story. It's just a thought.
That's a really good one. Is that, Jeff, have we posted this in the ESHIP community on Facebook yet?
Posted what? The
call for
Dancing Heroes? I don't.
Yeah,
I
saw it. Yeah,
okay.
I thought Jess did. I know she just put it in the chat, but I could have swore I saw it in there.
Okay.
But specifically challenging anybody who's considering nominating, and really anyone should, to add that caveat. Say, if possible, try to nominate one inside of ESHIP and one outside of ESHIP if you can.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, then don't worry about it. But that would be a way for you to also get that secondary storyline you were looking for.
I like it. Jeff, do you think it would be more efficient to bang out an email to the ESHIP champions, or at least the sort of the people leading the calls, since they have more direct rapport with you right now anyway, and it's a more direct line instead of putting it on Facebook?
You mean asking the ESHIP champions to share? I think here's an idea where there's an ESHIP champions call on Monday. Cecilia, is that something to be appropriate for the agenda?
I think we can definitely bring that up, yes.
Okay.
So if I will start an agenda in the next day or so to share with all the ESHIP champions to see some of the items that are top of mind questions, because yeah, so absolutely, we'll just add that to the list. That's a great idea.
Okay, I'll make a note too.
All right, cool. That's all I have this week. Anyone else? Is there anything we haven't touched on? Are there any questions you want to discuss? Anything that we want to touch on before our next call in a month from today?
I just want to say, great work, you guys. I think this is the most active. I'm not on all of them, but one of the most active anyway. Team. So kudos.
Yeah, thanks. Let's see what comes from it. I do want to. Is Jess here?
Yeah, I finally made it.
I do want to give a shout out to Jess. Jess has been working a lot behind the scenes to gather, number one, to gather a lot of additional details so that every time we introduce a goal, we also want to give as much additional information to invite people to go down those rabbit holes as possible. And Jess has done an amazing job in researching those resources and may have struck up a partnership to find a more elegant solution for us to get all this content, which is something we still have to talk about. But even though she's been very quiet, she's been working a lot behind the scenes, which I'm very grateful for.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. I apologize, everyone. I had a series of unfortunate events. I had a meeting till 2:45 and my phone flat out died, so I went to a closed Starbucks to hop on the call, and my firewall wasn't letting me get on because of my Chromebook, so I made it home. So I apologize. I pretty much missed the meeting, but I just shared just basically if anyone has more nominations, the more the better, because with how many we've gotten, which is great. We have 40, we're up to 40, definitely enough content and stories to share. So if you could repost, even if you've already nominated, please copy and paste and repost to your networks because it's open till January 30th to nominate. But that's about it for me. Thank you very much, guys. Sorry.
No.
Thanks for being a rock star, Jess. I'm glad you're on the team.
Sorry.
It's all good. If anyone else has anything they want to share, now is a great time.
So I'm really curious because I came on late and I don't know what question you did to Popcorn. So as a closing, I would love to and maybe put it in the agenda so we all have a resource. But I'm curious to know, because December, a lot happened and not a lot of communication. But I would love to hear about a story or something that you're reading or learning about that piqued your interest around ecosystem building, and so not like we don't have enough to read on our lists or in our stacks of things to read, but I would love to hear what everybody has learned, read, learning that's resonating with them, so that we can expand the book list and whatnot. So if you'll say it, maybe Popcorn, and then put it on the agenda so that we have a running resource, that would be fabulous.
It's on the agenda now.
So I put, oh, did you already add it? Did you add it somewhere? Because I did too.
I only put it in the agenda. You put it down there, which is perfect.
Okay, so I put it in the notes. So anybody,
you.
it's down at the bottom. Let's just, oops. Didn't want to do
All
that.
right. So who's going to start?
I will say this. I am reading a ton right now. And my brain is just overflowing, so I can't think of any one thing.
Okay. While you were thinking, Jeff, I'll
Well,
share
I'll tell you
mine.
what. Yeah, so I was just trying to think, what's an easy one I can say? And I would say the best thing I read, and I think I mentioned this on the Gulf 4 call the other day, was, everybody knows Victor Wong's Rainforest book, but he's got a much shorter 60-page-ish book called The Blueprint, which
Yep.
I highly recommend that people
Damn
check that out. You can read it in probably an hour because it's only like 60 pages, and it's got a nice outline to it with some nice principles and guidelines for ecosystem building. I'd say that's my top story or something I've been learning on in the last couple months. And I will link to that here.
Popcorn?
Popcorn, Tyler.
I am reading my edition of Community right now and enjoying that. I'm forgetting the author. I apologize, but it was sent to me by Andy Stoll, so I'm sure
Peter Block?
Cecilia's going to say it. There it is.
Peter Block.
Yep. And that is really good. And I'm also reading You Are a Badass by Jen Cicero, and I'd recommend it to anybody. And I will popcorn to Jess.
Okay, I had a bad feeling because I was finding a link. So Daniel Eisenberg, if anyone's familiar with him, I recently, kind of down a rabbit hole, found a few of his articles. And so I connected with him on LinkedIn. And if you don't have a lot of time, but you do want to kind of talk about big ideas and concepts for ecosystem building and regional growth, I do suggest connecting with him on LinkedIn or following him because he does post daily. So I've shared Daniel's LinkedIn profile in the chat, but you can also, he sent me a note to sign up for his tiny letter subscription of all of his blog posts, and so I did that. So for a shorter kind of reading and big ideas to stew on, I would suggest Daniel Eisenberg.
I'll second that. He's another one I've been reading a lot of too.
Yep. And I've been connected for a while with him. He's awesome. Good call.
Yeah, he is. It's great for kind of the challenging how you're thinking about not just bootstrapping, but corporations and scaling up. So I will popcorn to Katie.
I've been slammed. I'm not reading anything right now, just trying to keep my head above water.
Well, just keep swimming.
You want a popcorn, Katie?
Oh, I can't see everybody that's on here. Has Avery been already?
Nope.
Okay, there you go.
I am just finished a warning by Anonymous, which is not light reading at all. and so my light reading is Interference, which is a sci-fi book about hyper-intelligent sentient bamboo.
You're my favorite all the
whatsoever. And who else here? Eric, have you shared yet?
I would be glad to. Let's see. Also swamped, but stumbled across a new book and some podcasts, etc., from a guy named John O'Bacon. He wrote a book about 10 years ago called The Art of Community Building, or Art of Building Community. I don't quite recall which. but really a lot of work from the angle of building open source communities, but also building communities on behalf of large organizations, et cetera, and it's just interesting to kind of play that back related to our sort of community of practice approach that we're taking with ESHIP communities. So there's some overlap, there's some lessons I think we can learn from them, and of course some different values that we have. So good, interesting person to follow and check in with. I will see if I see that Megan is still on. So hi, Megan.
Hey, Eric. I'm happy I'll get to see you tomorrow morning too for our eShip Forward Cities call. But so yeah, I have been reading. Actually, while I got my tooth drilled for my first ever cavity in my life at the ripe age of 42, I started listening to Brené Brown's Dare to Lead. And I think, while it's not directly related to ecosystem building as a field, it definitely speaks to, particularly around storytelling, the vulnerability piece and people's capacity to really truth speak in a meaningful way, which I think is very much linked to building healthy ecosystems as well as storytelling in that space. So I'm excited to dive into that a bit deeper. And is Beth the 814? Who's 814?
I am.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank
I'm
you.
really
So,
apologize. I see that it looks like to me we're 4 minutes to 4 and I've got another call coming, so I'm going to jump off. This is Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay.
bye, Katie.
Bye, Katie.
Sorry.
No worries. Bye-bye.
So I'm rereading a book that I've never reread. I've never reread a book in my life, but Adam Grant's The Originals. And as I'm reading it, it reminds me of us as ecosystem builders, because we're not only badasses, we are definitely all original. So I highly recommend it. It's written by Adam Grant, and he has a blog, and he's a esteemed professor at Penn, and I highly recommend following him as well. And I will popcorn to Celia.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just fresh from the Communities of the Future convening in just south of Annika, North Carolina, and it's interesting because they're all talking about futures and things like that, and so 2 days of future talk. But I just started The Infinity Game by Simon Sinek, and his whole discussion of forward thinking, looking towards forever and planning and all of that just really resonated with me, especially on the tail end of this whole discussion of what is it like to plan for something that you're not going to see the end of. And I think a lot of that resonates with the eShip work that we're doing. So I think there's an importance in leaving breadcrumbs and kind of onboarding, and so I'm really thinking deep about that. But The Infinity Game by Simon Sinek, and when I get to my laptop, I will put that in there. But I've recommended this other book on other calls, and Peter Kritikos also recommended it. If you've not read Invisible Women, it's data science in a world built for men. That is, it will blow your mind, piss you off, and all of that at the same time. So it's strongly recommended. There you go. And let's see, is that everybody? Annika?
Yeah, I'm happy to round us out. So I also double recommend The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. I also did a blog post about it because I think, similar to Cecilia, it just really hit home. He wrote a book about ecosystem building without knowing that he did that. So strongly recommended. I have ordered Strategic Doing which I'm excited to get into. Jeff is voting that up. I know Andy's been recommending it, so I'll let you know on the next call how that ends up. And I wanted to come back to Jess's recommendation, Daniel Eisenberg. I did a review called Ecosystem Building 101, where I looked at the most popular schools of thought, and Daniel Eisenberg is one of them. So if you want to dive deeper, I have a few links on socialventures.com in the Learn section in a post called Ecosystem Building 101. And my post about the infinite game is on there as well. So
Which is what probably influenced me to read the book, by the way. Thank you.
Yes, full circle. Love when that happens. All right, we are on the dot. With that, thank you everybody for your time. Jeff or I will send out the notes from this call, at least the calls to action and key takeaways.
So the agenda is an ongoing agenda always. So let me just put that in the chat here real quick. Great. And where everybody can go to it. It's also available in the ESHIP dashboard. So you go to the ESHIP dashboard under the storytelling thing, and you'll find a link to the agenda where you'll find these notes.
Great.
So thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thanks.